everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show and Happy New Year. I know everybody's been talking all weekend about what your resolutions are going to be, but I actually wanted to begin the show today with a recap of everything we did in 2023. All right, so we started with the second cookbook was published in the spring. I hope all of you have received it, but if not, check it out. Then we've got the 20th year that we celebrated this summer with our children's cooking camp, and they had an amazing time. The 12th season of the VeryVera Show started this fall. We've really knocked it out of the park. We've got some great shows coming up for the rest of the season. And then Cambria has come in as our overall countertop sponsor. We're going to be doing an amazing project at my second home in Beaufort, and we're going to let you follow along with it and see how amazing this kitchen is going to look. And to top it all off, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of the company this year. We've really got a lot to look forward to. So we're doing 3 great recipes today. We're going to start with the hot Parmesan dip that I think you'll love for a charcuterie board or to serve for a larger crowd. And then the champagne chicken was the #1 dish that we served in our catering business, also in the new cookbook. And then an oatmeal lace cookie that is my husband's favorite. So let's get started on that hot Parmesan dip. Okay, so I'm sure everyone has had their fill of dips during the New Year's weekend, but maybe you have not had this one. It's one of our absolute favorites, the hot Parmesan dip. So when you combine Parmesan, sun-dried tomatoes, and mushrooms, you really cannot go wrong. So what I have in my bowl is Hellmann's mayonnaise. I'm going to add in my chopped green onions. You know, this is just such pops it with color. And then the Parmesan cheese, and this is the shredded. You can just pick up right there in the deli at the fresh market. And I love, while I'm at it, to get some of the shaved because it's also really good on salads. All right, so I've got mushrooms. The recipe calls for button mushrooms, but if over the holidays you had some portobellos left, add those in there as well. And then the sun-dried tomatoes you can also pick up where the condiments are at the fresh market. And you know, it's so funny, they almost look like dates or prunes when you take them out of the jar, and they're a little bit sticky. So take a smaller knife to cut them, and then take a larger knife to chop them. And then finally, I've got sour cream. So all we're gonna do here at this point is mix all of this together. So you'll see beside me, I've got a Pyrex pie plate, just the shallow pie plate, and I've already sprayed it. But next to that, I've got a ramekin. And so part of what I want to emphasize here is that you always don't necessarily need an entire recipe of something. You know, if you're not having at least 10 or 12 people over, you don't necessarily need this much dip unless that's the only thing you're serving. So in terms of what are the other uses for something, this has a little bit of a shelf life. So I've got a small ramekin sitting there, and at any point you could do several of those, maybe give one to a neighbor, and it's perfect on a charcuterie board. All right, so I'm gonna put this into the prepared pan, and then I love to serve these with toast rounds. And in the cookbook, I tell you how to make your own, but guess what? Fresh Market's already done all the work for you. And when you go over to where the deli is, you'll see the containers of toast. It's got to be one of the most valuable things they sell because they always have them. But those are really great. And then again, you want to look at the size of your container so you can adjust your temperatures and your cooking time between something small and something big. All right, so we're going to pop this into a 325-degree oven for about 20 minutes. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get started on the champagne chicken, which if you're looking for something to serve a crowd, it is the perfect dish. All right, so I'll see you back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, and if you're just joining me, we are celebrating still the fact that we are in a brand new year, 2024, and we've just got great recipes today. I hope that you will try the hot Parmesan dip that we just made, smelling fantastic, and it's a great way for me to introduce to you that if you've ever missed a show, or if you want more details on something that I've mentioned, like a charcuterie board, for example, be sure to go to our YouTube channel because there's the cutest video there about how to build a charcuterie board. I'd really love for you to see that, but if you miss a show, you can find us there as well. All right, so this is the champagne chicken. You know, chicken is honestly one of the hardest things to do in catering, and this is really and truly a no-fail recipe. So I had a little bit that I had to do in advance. I started with melting my butter. These are chopped up little baby portobello mushrooms, and you cook this for about 5 to 7 minutes just to get it, you know, sauteed well. So that's finished. So now I'm going to add to this my chopped green onions and some freshly squeezed lemon juice. And that really emphasizes the flavor. It pops those portobello mushrooms. So I'm going to just let that cook through on a low temperature. And now I'm ready to prepare the sauce that makes this the champagne chicken. So I've got flour. I have bouillon. And this is just the chicken bouillon that you pick up in the refrigerated section of the store. Salt and water. All right, so I've got a little small whisk right here that I love to use. And you're gonna have a few lumps in this, but by the time you add it into your saucepan, those will cook down. So I'll turn my heat up to about a medium. And this is gonna actually cook for 2 to 3 minutes until it's gotten nice and thick. Oh gosh, I tell you, this brings back so many wonderful memories of wedding receptions and things I've done along the way. And you know, people might be on a budget. And it's funny, you know, I've told you once before that if you name something fancy, you might be able to charge a little bit more per person. But I generally love to serve this when there was a budget for a wedding reception because the dish is fantastic. All right, so this is gonna cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so this is exactly what you're looking for. It's coating the spatula, and it's just the perfect thickness. So now I'm gonna add in my half and half. You know, there's just nothing like, you know, this is almost like a roux, and, you know, maybe get that young person in the kitchen with you that thinks they want to learn how to cook, get them to chop up these vegetables for you. Have a sous chef in the kitchen while you're working. All right, and then we've got the champagne. And this is where you don't necessarily have to buy the most expensive champagne, but keep this in mind. If you open a bottle of champagne and don't drink it all, you could put this in a container in the refrigerator to use to make this dish. It's the flavor that you're using in the champagne. All right, so now I'm going to swap eyes because I'm gonna put this on simmer and I'm gonna move in with my pan to cook the chicken. And this will just simmer on low over here for just a few more minutes while we do this. All right, so I've got 2 tablespoons of olive oil in this pan. And I had a little bit I had to do here as well. So it's, the chicken breasts are always on sale along with the ground chuck every Tuesday at the fresh market. You better get there early. But I love to buy my chicken at that point. So it's boneless, skinless chicken breast. And so I pounded it down to about 3/4 inch thickness. And then the wet, dry situation is an egg and milk that you've mixed together really well. Then your flour and nature's seasoning that you've mixed together. And you're gonna do dry, wet, and then dry again to have this ready to go to be fried. All right, so that's where I am here. And so we're gonna cook this just until it's browned on both sides. So again, you don't have that much oil in the pan, but you have enough that you can get a good little sizzle going. And you know, the fact of the matter is, pounding down the meat also tenderizes it. And so this is going to cook now for about 5 minutes, and we'll flip it and get it brown. All right, so I think this one side is ready, because all you're trying to do is get a golden brown on these, because they're gonna bake and do the rest of it in the oven. All right, so I have a little bit more I have to do. I'm gonna transfer these to my casserole dish. The sauce is gonna be all ready to go. We're gonna pour that over it. And when we come back from the break, we're gonna get started on those oatmeal lace cookies. But in the meantime, do you need to clean your washing machine? I've got some tips for you in Vera's Corner. Come back with me in just a few minutes. Vera's Corner is brought to you by TaxSlayer. We all know that your washing machine cleans your clothes, but did you know you need to clean your washing machine? Well, today I've got a home remedy that you'll enjoy doing, and it'll make your washing machine like brand new. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on washing machine cleaners, try making your own. Mix 1 cup baking soda, 1/4 cup water, and pour into where you would pour your detergent. Pour 2 cups of vinegar straight into the drum of your washer and run a normal cycle. I like using cleaning vinegar, which has a higher level of acidity than regular vinegar for the cleanest result. Run a regular cycle using hot water. If you forgot to change the laundry from your washer to the dryer and you find yourself with an odor in your washing machine, you might want to give your washing machine a spa treatment. Cut a lemon in half. Be sure to remove the seeds. Take toothpaste and squeeze a swirl right on the top of the lemon. Put both halves in your washing machine and run your speed wash on hot and start. Next time, try using the delayed wash button feature that is built into most newer machines. If you don't find it on your washing machine, check your owner's manual. Start free today at TaxSlayer.com. I'm having so much fun today, and I hope you are as well. It's a great way to start off 2024. And that tip about cleaning your washing machine and making it fresh with the lemon and the toothpaste, your kids will love that trick. All right, so every recipe can turn into your recipe if you tweak it and make it your own. The recipe for my oatmeal lace cookies originated in Being Dead Is No Excuse, one of my absolute favorite cookbooks. And in their recipe, they used unsalted butter and vanilla. And as you can see, I changed mine to salted butter, and I've eliminated the vanilla. So I'd love for you to try it both ways. I particularly like it this way because I love to taste the toasted oatmeal, and I love the flavors without the interference of vanilla. All right, so in advance, I put my aluminum foil in my sheet pans, and you've got a dull side and a shiny side to your aluminum foil, so be sure your dull side is up. I've also melted my butter, and I love to do it on top of the stove because right before I add it, it needs to be piping hot. So it's melted on simmer now. Okay, the next amazing thing that's happened today about this recipe is that I have always used Quaker oats. And if I have a brand, I really don't like to shy away from that. But we used the Fresh Market's old-fashioned oats in this. These cookies were perfect. So I highly recommend that you look at their brands whenever that's a possibility because they are outstanding. All right, so I've got the oatmeal in the bowl. I'm gonna add in my granulated sugar, my salt, and my all-purpose flour. And I'm just gonna blend that with a fork. All right, so let's get this butter hot. And I'll go ahead and mix up my egg while that's getting back to really hot. And the reason you want it to be really hot is that you are dissolving this sugar that's in here with this hot butter. And a lot of times if you melt it and it starts to cool down, so this is good and hot. We're going to pour that in. I mean, some of these recipes get real temperamental, and I love the challenge. And honestly, one of the things that they say in their cookbook is that these cookies freeze well. Well, let me assure you that these cookies do not last long enough to be frozen, because if you make these for your family, they're going to ask you to make them every weekend. I mean, they are just delicious. All right, so that's pretty much where it needs to be right there. And now I'm going to add in my egg. And this is where you really need some elbow grease at this point, because you're really looking for the consistency that hopefully you'll see in just a second. It's going to be really a nice, you see it's almost kind of changing to a kind of a dull look instead of shiny. That's what you're looking for. And you know what? These are the experiences in the kitchen with your young people that they learn to watch for the change. And then when they grow up, they can talk about that they made that with their mother or their grandmother. I love that. All right, so now you've got just a little spoon. And this is the other mistake that people make sometimes. They put too much. So when this bakes in a 325-degree oven, these are going to spread out, and that's why they're called lace cookies. So I've got a little bit to do to get these ready. They're going to go in the oven, and when we come back, we're going to lay everything out and talk back through what we did today. So I'll see you in a minute. Happy New Year, everybody, and certainly we've been celebrating for days and days, but honestly, I'm so excited about 2024. I'm just going to be celebrating all year long, and I hope you will be too with some of the recipes that we prepared today, and I'd love to walk back through that. So we started with the Parmesan dip, the hot Parmesan dip, and we baked it in a pie pan, and this little stand is perfect to hold it in, but you can use so many different vessels. You could do pottery. You could put it in a cast iron skillet. You can put it in the ramekins, as I suggested, if you want to do it on a charcuterie board. So don't forget to follow us on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. Watch that little video that we did with the time lapse of building a big charcuterie display. So that turned out really well. But this dip is just phenomenal. I cannot wait to eat it in just a few minutes. All right, then we moved into the champagne chicken. This recipe was featured on so many different events, weddings, dinner parties, all kinds of things. And this recipe looks beautiful on a buffet, but it also looks great on your dining room table. And speaking of dining room tables, the recipe for this in our cookbook features me kind of breezing through the dining room, serving this around the dining room table. I love the photograph. But we also had our dining room featured on the cover of Augusta magazine for their holiday issue. So I know the holidays are over, but if you see one on a newsstand, pick it up. It has some great ideas in it. And then finally, the lace cookies, my husband's absolute favorite. And in the ice cream, you can see that you can basically almost see right through them. So follow the instructions very carefully, the different things I tell you to look for when you're making it. Not making the piles of the dough too large on the pan. You can get about 15 on a regular size sheet pan. But the beauty of this recipe is that, I mean, honestly, my husband could eat this entire platter of cookies. But for a really elegant dessert or something that looks fancy, and I'm sure many of you have your grandmother's champagne glasses that look like this, do something fancy. There's another recipe in the book for ice cream that we make using pre-bought vanilla ice cream, and you add in coconut macaroons, toasted almonds, cherries, amaretto, grenadine, and it just comes together, and then you put it back in the freezer, and then you scoop it out when you're ready to use it. And it will actually work in the freezer, keep in the freezer for quite a long time. Just make sure that it's sealed very well. Okay, so how do you display all of this for a celebration? The first place you go is to hesterandcook.com. They have everything imaginable for every holiday, place cards, place mats, all of that. And we actually recently did a book signing in Franklin, Tennessee at their store. And if you love Hester and Cook products, that was like going to Disney World. We had a book signing. I met a bunch of wonderful people, and we just enjoyed every celebration with them. All right, so Cambria is my new countertop sponsor. We're going to be working together the whole rest of the season, improving the looks of my new second home in Beaufort. And for a husband and wife that both love to cook, we enjoy the weekends in the kitchen. So I cannot wait for you to see what they have come up with for what this kitchen is going to look like. So remember, no matter what you do, do it in good taste. I hope you'll come back for another tasteful episode next week.